King Review Print Speaking to the Blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast, recorded at the Bishop Briggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @QNReview. That is @ CUEANDREVIEW. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@QNreview.com. That is INFORMATION @CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 5th of February 2026. From the news section, exclusive. Convicted sex offender in Dumbarton on register for decade. An exclusive written by Tristan Stewart Robertson. A convicted sex offender will stay on the register for the next decade for having indecent images. Tom Crawley appeared from custody and admitted having indecent photos or pseudo-photos of children last summer in Dumbarton. The 40-year-old also failed to comply with notification requirements of being a registered sex offender. Dumbarton Sheriff Court heard on February the 3rd that there was a search warrant granted and police attended his Riss Street home on August 19. Officers recovered 2 mobile phones, one of them broken. Later, cybercrime analysis found there were 18 images at Category B, all inaccessible to the user, on the Huawei phone. The images had been viewed previously between July the 31st and August the 19th on a web browser. On October the 1st, he failed to disclose within a period of 3 days an account used to access the internet. There was no information provided on his previous sexual offence. Defence solicitor Bob Mitchell said Crawley, a prisoner of Low Moss, was born in Newcastle and generally worked in the fish farming industry prior to being remanded for the current case. Of course, there is no excuse, but there was a period of time when he was isolated and turned to looking to the web and social media, he said. Sheriff John McElroy KC said, "He clearly has a disposition to this kind of offending." Mr. Mitchell said his client had tried group work in the past. "He completely understands what needs to be done," he said, "to reduce his risk. He knows if he ever comes back to court what the outcome can be. He has motivation to put this kind of behaviour behind him." Sheriff McElroy jailed him for a total of 12 months, legally reduced because he pleaded guilty early. It was backdated to October the 2nd. He will be on the sex offenders register for 10 years. "Take him down," said the sheriff. That article was an exclusive, written by Tristan Stewart Robertson and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 5th of February 2026. From the news section, Glasgow Council staff set to get the World Cup bank holiday, by political correspondent Stuart Patterson. Council staff in Glasgow will get the World Cup public holiday under plans being drawn up. The King approved a request from John Swinney, First Minister, for a public holiday on June 15th, the day after Scotland's opening match, the first in a World Cup since 1998. It is a matter for employers whether or not to grant the holiday. There is no legislation that compels a business or organisation to honour the holiday, and entitlement is set out in employee contracts. Scottish Government employees are guaranteed a day off, but others need to wait for their bosses to decide whether to give the additional day. Susan Aitken, leader of Glasgow City Council, said the SNP administration will be making a recommendation that the council employees be granted the extra holiday. She told the Glasgow Times, "I think a democratic decision has to be made. So I will not preempt the democratic decision, but it is our intention to take a paper to a committee saying we should have the public holiday. The day would be added to the workforce's holiday entitlement." Aitken said, If it is approved by the councillors, we would decide as an employer to recognise the public holiday. That will be our recommendation to the committee, that we will recognise that public holiday, and then staff get to choose, as they do with other public holidays, how they take that. The First Minister proposed a national holiday to celebrate Steve Clarke's team reaching the World Cup. John Swinney said, "We want to make the most of Scotland's participation in this global sporting event by ensuring people have the opportunity to come together and celebrate, no matter the outcome of the match. That is why I propose to making the Monday following our opening game in Boston a national bank holiday." That article was written by Stuart Patterson and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 5th of February 2026, from the news section, exclusive. Glasgow men fought with broken bottles at Celtic title party, an exclusive written by Esther Tarnay. 3 men appeared in court after fighting, brandishing broken glass bottles and assaulting police officers during a Celtic title party in Glasgow. Jay Connor, Denny Donnelly and Luca Tonieri appeared together at Glasgow Sheriff Court on Tuesday this week. 26-year-old Connor pleaded guilty to punching Inspector Lindsay Scott and Sergeant Emma Brown, while Donnelly, 22, admitted engaging in a fight, brandishing broken glass bottles and resisting arrest. Tonieri, aged 28, pleaded guilty to assaulting Sergeant VJ Monology by kicking him. The offences took place at Gallowgate in Merchant City around 6 p.m. on May 18, 2024. Officers noticed a violent fight on arrival. Connor, Donnelly and Tonieri were punching, pushing and kicking each other and brandishing broken glass bottles. Police tried to intervene as Donnelly, of Ridley, waved a broken glass bottle at police officers. Connor resisted arrest, punching Inspector Scott to the face and body. He then grabbed a broken bottle from the ground and tried to strike cops. While being arrested, the city centre resident punched a police officer on the body. All 3 men were arrested and taken to London Road Police Station. They sat at the dock at Glasgow Sheriff Court next to each other, as their lawyers told the court that the reports had not been prepared. Sheriff Colette Gallagher told the trio, "You pleaded guilty to various charges. Before I can sentence you, I will need to have the reports. This is a particularly serious matter. The circumstances are of the highest seriousness. You must prepare yourselves for all sentencing options." Sentence was deferred for social work reports and restricting of liberty assessments. The 3 men will be due in court again on March 17th as Sheriff Gallagher continues consideration of a football banning order which should see them banned from matches. On the day of the incidents, Celtic beat St Mirren 3-2 in the last Scottish Premiership game of the season and were given the trophy at Celtic Park for winning the league. We reported at the time that 25,000 people gathered at Glasgow Cross to celebrate the achievement, and the roads were closed for public safety. During the hours-long event, 19 people were arrested for various offences. Following the unofficial celebration, supporters received criticism from Council Leader Susan Aitken for unacceptable behaviour. That article was an exclusive written by Esther Tarnay. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 5th of February 2026, news, exclusive. TV presenter shock after being invited to Robbie Williams' Glasgow show. An exclusive written by reporter Ava White. A TV presenter is told of how an unexpected interview with Robbie Williams resulted in her and her mum being personally invited to the singer's gig in Glasgow. Jodie McCallum was interviewing the Britpop icon at the red carpet and in the premiere of Tinseltown, a Christmas film that Williams' daughter is in November when he made the incredible gesture. The 34-year-old, who is from Coatbridge, explained that she wasn't meant to be working that day but had been called in at the last minute. After realising that Williams was going to be there, Jodie said that she knew that this needed to be the night she finally spoke to him after missing him at previous events. During the interview, Jodie was telling the Star that she was excited as she had secured a pre-sale code for tickets to his intimate show at the Barrowland Ballroom, as her mum is a lifelong fan. What happens next is said to have shocked the presenter. She said, "I'm an entertainment reporter, so I work on the red carpet, and there's been a few occasions where I've nearly got Robbie for an interview, but for one reason or another it's not happened. The night I spoke to him was at the Tinseltown premiere, and I didn't know he was going to be there. I didn't even think I was going to be working that day, but the reporter who was meant to go couldn't do it, so I went along. When I found out he was on the tip sheet, I was like, oh my god, this is it. This needs to be the night where I get him. There were too many years of missing out. I managed to get him, and I told him I needed him to know that my mum absolutely adores him. I was saying I had the pre-sale code, and it would be the biggest gift ever for her if I could get it, because I'm terrible with getting tickets. I can never get them. I was only telling him to show that I am a big fan, and I genuinely wasn't asking for tickets. So when he said, 'Let me take your number,' that's why I was kind of shaking." In the interview clip posted to Jodie's Instagram page, Williams gives her a high five after she revealed that she was trying to secure a spot at the concert for her mum Margaret. Moments later, she was stunned as the musician took down her phone number, promising someone would be in touch with tickets to the concert. And last night, Williams delivered on that promise, as Jodie and Margaret got to dance the night away at the opening gig for his Britpop tour. Jodie noted that the moment was so surreal that her mum initially thought she was pranking her. She added, "He stayed true to his word and sorted out the tickets for us. I couldn't be more grateful to Robbie and his team. Honestly, it was absolutely biblical. My mum absolutely loved it, and I've never actually been to a gig in the Barrowlands. It was amazing, and it was such a great crowd. When I told my mum about the tickets, I did it in FaceTime as I was walking through Leicester Square, and she was like, 'You're doing a TikTok prank. This is a prank.' I was telling her, 'I promise you it's not a prank. This is 100% happening.' It was a night we'll never forget." That article was an exclusive written by Ava White and recorded by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 6th of February 2026. From the news section, court orders customer to stay away from Blantyre Bakery. Report by Mike McQuaid. A customer has been ordered to stay away from a bakery for 10 years after threatening the boss of the family business. John Bell, 54, was also jailed for 16 months after he was found guilty of threatening or abusive behaviour. Hamilton Sheriff Court heard that Peter Inglis was terrified and offered Bell money to leave his business alone. Bell claimed all he did was confront Mr. Inglis at Jinxie's Bakery in Blantyre over comments made by Mr. Inglis's father about Bell's disabled brother. A jury convicted him of threatening the baker, but cleared him of threatening to harm his family members and burn down the shop. Bell was also found guilty of acting aggressively at Motherwell Police Station after his arrest. The court was told that he confronted Mr. Inglis in the shop on May the 21st, June the 2nd and June the 5th last year. Mr. Inglis said that when Bell told him about comments made by his father, he apologised. He claimed Bell threatened to drill a hole in the ceiling, pour petrol in and burn the place down. It was also alleged that he told the baker, "Last thing I want is for something to happen to your lovely daughters." Mr. Inglis said he offered him £200, but Bell suggested his father sell his car and give him £10,000, claiming the verbal abuse of his brother had been going on for years. After the third confrontation on June the 5th, Bell left the shop, telling Mr. Inglis to watch his jaw. The baker said he took this to be a threat to slash him and was so scared that he pulled down the shore shutter and called the police. PC Arthur Hood said Bell was standing at the shop window, snarling and pointing at people inside. He was arrested and taken to Motherwell Police Station. PC Hood claimed that he was subjected to verbal abuse when he went to interview the prisoner in his cell. The officer said, "I was terrified and thought he might attack me. I slammed his door shut and was told not to interview him due to his behaviour." Bell, who represented himself during the trial, claimed the police officer was lying. Normally, in the interest of fairness, an accused's previous convictions are not disclosed during the trial, but Bell told the jury, "I'm not trying to say I'm a nice person. I have spent almost 30 years in the Scottish prison system. I stabbed a man in the neck and hit a man 30 times with a claw hammer. But I did not threaten Mr. Inglis. I have protected my brother all my days, and I'll keep doing it until I die." After the jury's verdicts, the court was told that Bell had a previous conviction for assault to severe injury and permanent disfigurement. His most recent conviction was in 2022, when he was jailed for 42 months for culpable and reckless conduct to the danger of life. Sheriff Colin Dunipace backdated the 16-month sentence to June the 6th, as Bell has been in custody since his arrest. The sheriff imposed non-harassment orders, banning Bell from contacting Mr. Inglis and 2 bakery workers for 10 years. That article was written by Mike McQuaid and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 6th of February 2026, from the news section. Ex-SNP councillor Michael Cullen made false sexual assault allegation. Report by Connor Gordon. A former SNP councillor made a false sexual assault allegation towards a woman he met online. Michael Cullen, 44, made the accusation to police officers at his home in Glasgow's Knightswood in 2017. Cullen claimed he was drugged by the now 42-year-old childcare worker and abused. Cullen, who represented the Gasgarden and Scotstoun Hill ward, knew the allegation was false. He claimed he was unable to remember events and only knew the woman by her face. This led to the woman being charged by the police. However, the recovery of an old phone down the side of her sofa, which was believed to have been lost, was vital to clear her name. The phone was found to contain evidence of the pair's casual and consensual sexual relationship. Cullen was due to stand trial at Glasgow Sheriff Court accused of making the false allegation. However, he was deemed unfit to stand trial as a result of a mental condition, and an examination of facts, evidence not before a jury, was held in its place, with Cullen excused from the dock. The hearing was told by the 42-year-old woman about how she and Cullen met in the dating site Plenty of Fish in 2014. The pair went on to have a casual sexual relationship together at her home. Prosecutor Darren Harty took the court through a string of intimate text messages sent between them in 2014. Also referred to was the woman's apparent concern for a kidney issue which Cullen suffers from. The woman denied, when asked by the fiscal deputy if they drank alcohol or did drugs. Mr. Hartley asked the woman if she invited him over on a number of occasions, and she replies, "Yes. It breaks my heart how it has turned out and what he has done to me since." The woman told that she came to be arrested and charged with a sexual offence on Cullen, who had spoken to the police. However, sometime later, the woman came to sell her couch and found her old mobile down the side of it, which she thought she lost. Mr. Harty stated to her, "This was analysed and found to contain text messages between you and Mr. Cullen arranging to have casual sex." The case against the woman was dropped by the Procurator Fiscal due to insufficient admissible evidence. When asked how the ordeal made her feel, the woman replied, "It was a nightmare." Cullen's mother, Audrey Cullen, 62, told the hearing in her evidence that she contacted police after the woman allegedly harassed her son on Facebook while he was standing to be a counsellor. However, Mr. Harty put to her that she had initially reported to police that her son believed he was spiked and raped by the woman. Despite this, Audrey Cullen claimed that she did not want the woman charged. She claimed that her son was unable to recall much of the incident and knew the woman by another name. The hearing was told that after the Procurator Fiscal told Cullen and his mother that there would not be a prosecution, Audrey Cullen took it upon herself to pursue a review of the decision. She claimed that Cullen knew nothing about her actions, as he had left the room at the time. Audrey Cullen added that she continued to communicate with the authorities by email. Cullen faced another charge of attempting to pervert the course of justice. He was said to have claimed that he was impacted mentally and financially by the alleged sexual assault in a review application. The charge went on to say that this was an attempt to have the Crown reconsider the allegation after a decision was made not to prosecute. Sheriff Paul Reed did not find the attempt to pervert allegations facts to be proved. The matter will call again at court at the end of the month, pending new doctors' reports and the current status of Cullen, whose bail was continued meantime. Cullen resigned from the SNP in 2020 after the legal action against him came to light. That report was written by Connor Gordon and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 6th of February 2026, from the news section, exclusive. Glasgow Crime Files, every cop wanted to catch brutal killer of OAP. An exclusive written by senior features writer Anne Fotheringham and read by Ian McKenna. After the body of an elderly Glasgow woman was discovered in her Garnet Hill home 30 years ago this summer, thousands of men gave DNA samples in the first mass testing project of its kind. But Emily Mutchie's brutal killer, who had beaten and sexually assaulted the 77-year-old, evaded capture. Pleas from her family for information failed to unearth any suspects. A Crime Stopper reward was offered, but led nowhere. Had it not been for a petrol station robbery and two police officers acting on their instincts, Emily's killer might have got away with it. Emily Mutch was deaf and suffered from Parkinson's, and her murder shocked Glasgow to its core. Her niece Elizabeth Mackay, from Knightswood, said in an interview at the time that her aunt's flat had been totally done over. She added, the bed was overturned and lying upside down, and the mattress was at the other end of the room. The bass surround was kicked in. She had a toy dog, the kind with batteries in it, and it was torn to bits, all the fur torn off and the mechanics everywhere. Emily's killer became the most wanted man in Scotland, but even though he left his DNA at the scene, and police tested more than 3,500 local men, he remained at liberty. Then in 1998, Constables Kenny Pike and Colin Montgomery were called to a disturbance at a BP petrol station on Great Western Road. When they arrived, they found a man called Thomas Galloway hiding in a bus and took him to a nearby Partick Police office on Dumbarton Road. A check revealed Galloway had a number of previous convictions for assault and robbery, and for carrying knives. He had also been jailed several times. The two officers were immediately suspicious of the man and took a DNA sample from him, which was then submitted for testing. 3 months later, Detective Superintendent Bob Lauder, the man in charge of the Emily Mutch investigation, told the two officers they had caught her killer. Experts revealed the chances of someone else having the same DNA profile as Galloway were 500 million to 1. Galloway, a landscaper from Maryhill, stood trial at the High Court in Glasgow in January 1999, and a jury took just an hour to convict him. He had denied it, but his finger and palm prints were found in Emily's house, and some of her possessions were found in his. Galloway sacked 2 sets of defence lawyers and counsel after they told him the evidence against him was overwhelming. Judge Lord McCluskey told Galloway that he had been responsible for a brutal, disgusting and horrifying attack on a defenceless pensioner. He recommended that Galloway, 42, should serve 20 years of a life sentence before being considered for parole, and ordered his name to be placed on the sex offenders register. In an interview after the case, PC Pike said, "We were stunned to find that Galloway had been responsible for such a horrendous crime. When we sent away the DNA sample, we had no idea that he had anything to do with it. Just the criteria laid down, matched with our experience, suggested he should be tested. This had been a dreadful murder and every cop wanted to catch him." That article was an exclusive written by Anne Fotheringham. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 6th of February 2026, from the news section. Shopkeeper assaulted at Morrison's Daily on Glasgow Road in Dumbarton. Report by Aidan Maxwell. A shopkeeper was assaulted during a disturbance at a Morrison's Daily store in Dumbarton. At around 4:20pm on Thursday, February the 5th, police were called to a store on Glasgow Road following reports of a disturbance. The shopkeeper, a 29-year-old man, was assaulted during the incident and later required hospital treatment. The store was cordoned off by police, with officers standing guard at the scene as inquiries were carried out. 3 female youths have been charged in connection with the incident. One local said to the Glasgow Times, "It's really scary that this has happened. I know people who work there. I just hope all the staff are okay." A Police Scotland spokesperson said, "Around 4:20pm on Thursday, February the 5th, we received a report of a disturbance at a shop on Glasgow Road. The shopkeeper, a 29-year-old man, was assaulted and required hospital treatment. 3 female youths have been charged in connection with the incident, and the report will be sent to the relevant authorities." That report was written by Aidan Maxwell. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 6th of February 2026, from the news section, exclusive. Top-level talks over Glasgow's budget amid huge shortfall. An exclusive by Stuart Patterson. Talks have taken place between Glasgow City Council and the Scottish Government over the huge pressures in this year's budget. The council is facing a massive overspend on homelessness due to unrelenting demand for accommodation. The Glasgow Times reported how the city is taking on the cost from the HSCP running to tens of millions of pounds. More than £45 million is going to hotel and B&B owners for the more than 2,600 people who require a home but can't be found a temporary flat. Recent reports show that there are around 10,000 people in temporary accommodation in Glasgow. More than half of the demand has come from an increase in applications from people with leave to remain. The City Treasurer, Ricky Bell, said the problem had been created by the UK government's decisions. There has been a fast-tracking of asylum claims, and then people have to leave their Home Office provided accommodation and leaving them homeless. Councillor Bell said, "The difficulty for Glasgow is that our most significant budget pressure is not only unique, but also totally outside of our control. The city is facing a £66 million overspend on homelessness services, almost entirely as a consequence of UK Home Office decisions and procedures. We can talk about that pressure as part of our own budget discussions, and believe me, we have talked about it a lot, but there is no budget day decision and no council policy change that can mitigate it. I'm grateful to the Scottish Government for agreeing to meet to discuss a situation that is not primarily of their making. I think we should actually be having a conversation with the UK Government about the problem they have created and how they support the city to cope with the consequences. But they have not yet shown any willingness to do that." The Greens at Glasgow City Council said they are not prepared to vote for the budget that requires so much cuts. John Molyneux, Green Group co-leader, said, "The budget gap Glasgow faces this year is huge, and that's almost entirely due to excess homelessness costs. That could mean drastic cuts to public services and to line the pockets of hotel and B&B owners. It's absolutely vital, even at this late stage, that the SNP government steps in with a special deal for Glasgow. Fixing this is now the test of Susan Aitken's leadership. There's no way Green councillors will vote for a budget that drives through £70 million worth of cuts, and I can't imagine SNP backbenchers will be happy to do so either." They say they are making the case for Glasgow, but are the First Minister and the Finance Secretary prepared to listen and act? That article was an exclusive, written by Stuart Patterson and read by Ian McKenna.
From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 9th of February 2026, from the news section. 3D Drum Chapel rebrands as 3D Families and offers new service. Article written by Beth Oliver. A family support charity has rebranded with a new name and a fresh service. 3D Drum Chapel has updated its name to 3D Families, aiming to reflect its three-dimensional approach to supporting individuals, families and communities. In addition to the rebrand, the organisation has launched a new capacity-building programme called 3D Futures designed to equip other communities with the tools and training needed to deliver effective family support services. Sharon Colvin, Chief Executive of 3D Families, said, "We are so grateful to everyone who is on this journey with us, our families, our team, our volunteers, our board, our partners, our funders and sponsors. We look forward to continuing to journey together into this new era for 3D Families as we all work together supporting families to live three-dimensional lives." Building on 27 years of work in the Drumchapel area, the organisation offers frontline family support for children aged 0 to 12 and their families in Drumchapel, Knightswood and Yoker. Services include perinatal support, parent and child play sessions, peer support groups, school-based assistance and intensive support for families referred by social work professionals. 3D Families also runs the Bairn Necessities project, which redistributes children's clothing and equipment to families in need, and operates the Bairns Boutique charity shop in the Drumchapel shopping centre. The charity emphasises the importance of supporting parents and strengthening the parent-child relationship, believing every family deserves the opportunity not just to survive, but to thrive. The new 3D Futures service builds on this philosophy, offering training, coaching, consultancy and practical resources to other organisations across Scotland. Following a successful pilot at East Ayrshire, 3D Families now plans to share its Drumchapel-based model with communities across Scotland. The charity also leads the Drumchapel Children and Families Network, bringing together children and families, third sector, social work, health, education, police and housing to work together to improve outcomes with and for children and families in Drumchapel. At each engagement, participants are encouraged to identify a drop of change, a new action or reflection to take back to their teams or practice. These individual changes, the charity believes, can create ripples that become waves of tangible change, helping children and families receive necessary support at the right time. Organisations and communities interested in 3D Futures can learn more or get in touch by emailing 3dfutures@3dfamilies.org.uk. Further information about all 3D Families services is available via the charity's website. That article was written by Beth Oliver and read to you by Elizabeth. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 9th of February 2026, from the Lifestyle section. 5 long-lost Glasgow cafes we miss the most. Exclusive by Anne Fotheringham. Glasgow has always been proud of its cafe culture. Here are 5 of the best we miss the most. After the First World War, the Crolla family, famous ice cream makers, opened the Premier Cafe in Bridgeton. It was such a success they had to extend it into the stores on either side of the original shop unit, and by the 1950s, the Crollas had around 30 vans roaming the streets of Glasgow delivering their ice cream. Crolla ice cream continues, but the Premier Cafe is no more. King's Cafe. It was Glasgow's oldest surviving cafe when it closed its doors in 2015, and a regular haunt of stars from the nearby King's Theatre. The late Gerard Kelly was a fan of the King's Cafe, which opened in 1898. Central Cafe. Socky Hall Street has not had its troubles to seek in recent years, but in the 1950s it was a grand and glamorous shopping destination. The Central Cafe was a highlight, sandwiched between the fancy Corsetiere, billiards hall and J.D. Cuthbertson department store. Queen's Cafe. Lovely traditional cafe on Victoria Road, which was the perfect place to refuel with an ice cream after a walk in nearby Queen's Park. Ross's. Ross's Dairies. It's Ross's, it's right. Had its depot on Crow Road and a variety of outlets throughout the city. These included milk bars, snack bars, and a large cafe at the corner of Howard and Jamaica Streets. Their USP was that their produce was straight from the oven, straight from the farm. And who can forget their delicious soda scones? Get in touch to share your memories by emailing anne.fotheringham@glasgowtimes.co.uk or write to Anne Fotheringham, Glasgow Times, 125 Fullerton Drive, Glasgow, G32 8FG. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 9th of February 2026, from the news section. Susan Aitken on 2026 being a momentous year for Glasgow. Article written by Stuart Patterson. The Glasgow Times spoke to Susan Aitken, leader of Glasgow City Council, about what people can expect to see in 2026. The leader outlined her thoughts on the year ahead before answering our questions on what this means for the people of Glasgow. Susan Aitken said, "This is a momentous year for Glasgow. Hosting the Commonwealth Games for a second time, the completion of an iconic new George Square, and an election which will have a major bearing on the city's future, 2026 will be a milestone for 21st century Glasgow. We've been through some tough times recently. COVID, the cost of living crisis, and spiralling energy costs have all been difficult for households and businesses alike. But while I'll never downplay the challenges Glasgow continues to face, we're turning a corner. Positive change is happening. There's increasing confidence in a city centre outperforming its comparators and welcoming both new international retailers and developers eager to invest. In the months ahead, Glaswegians will see much more of how the 120 million Avenues programme is improving key streets, and in the 2026 Games will once again welcome the world to Glasgow, showcase our city and give our citizens a summer to remember. These remain turbulent times, and Glasgow's challenges can often be beyond our control. But the pride and partnerships which make this city great have stood us in good stead. 2026 will be a year of good things happening, and that's something we can all get behind." When the hoardings come down and the new George Square is revealed, the question has been posed, will the city really see a meaningful difference that justifies the spend and inconvenience? On that, Susan Aitken is confident it will deliver what the people want. Aitken said, "Yes, people will see a difference. We did a lot of consultation about George Square and about what people wanted to see, and people wanted to see a George Square that they recognised. They wanted the square updated, refurbished, and they wanted more grass, more places to sit, more trees. All of that will happen. It will be a bigger George Square. There will be more space, and it will flow into the streets around as well. But it will still be recognisably George Square, a world-class centrepiece for our city, which we've been waiting for and needed a long time." She said George Square needed some work and would have had disruption regardless, leading her to believe the decision to do it properly with long-lasting benefits was the right one. She added, "I'm very much hoping that people will be happy with it." Aitken said, "We are on schedule to reopen in September with a launch. We'll have a nice event." The date and details are still to be confirmed, but the plan is the occasion will be marked. Avenues. George Square is just one part of the overall work going on in the city centre. All around, roads and pavements are being redesigned, some with cycle lanes, new greenery and seating, and lighting upgraded. It is causing frustration for many stuck in cars or buses as the roads take longer to navigate, and some are wondering, why devote scarce resources to this? The council leader said she understands that frustration, but ultimately it is worth it, and it will bring benefits to everyone with an interest in the city centre. Aitken said, "By this summer, the whole Avenues programme will be halfway completed." The leader pinpoints one street as an example. Argyle Street, between the Highlandman's Umbrella and the Kingston Bridge, known in Avenues speak as Argyle Street West, is nearing completion. Aitken said, "It is a much more attractive street. There's more space for pedestrians, there's obviously space for cyclists, but there's also greenery there. It is no longer just lanes of traffic. It feels like a genuinely shared space, and everyone who comes into the city centre will benefit from that. And that includes people who either drive through or drive into the city centre." When asked the question many people have asked, how does this inconvenience and disruption benefit the average person in Glasgow, Aitken is looking at a bigger picture. She expands. What it demonstrates is a city of ambition, a city that is making that investment in itself to improve, to renew, and what that brings is investment and also jobs. The conversations are not new to the council leader, and her answer is think longer term. She explains, I often say to people, yes, this is inconvenient. I know it causes inconvenience and disruption for people. I understand that entirely. Of course, we apologise to people for the inconvenience and disruption while it's happening. What I don't apologise for is the ambition and the huge amount of investment that is taking place in our city centre. She quips, we don't have civil engineering fairies to do that overnight while we all sleep. And others, she said, are taking notice. Aitken said, when investors come and they see stuff happening, they see cranes, they see work going on in key parts of a city, what they see is ambition. They see a city not sitting on its laurels, not being complacent, but making that investment. And we get feedback. JP Morgan, for example, on that west section of Argyle Street, they're saying already they feel and see the difference right outside their doorstep. And they're not the only ones saying that. Aitken also wants to remind people the work is creating jobs, work for the construction industry, putting money from the city deal into communities across Glasgow. Commonwealth Games. During our interview, the council leader is sporting a Commonwealth Games 2026 lapel badge. Much has been made of the scaled-back nature of these games, and Glasgow 2026 not being Glasgow 2014, and so far the level of excitement is nowhere near that of 12 years ago. Aitken, however, said there are signs people are still up for it again, and there will be more happening than the events themselves. She said, there will be a Games Festival in the same way that there was in 2014 for folk across the city to take part in. It's something that we insisted on when, as a city, we agreed to rescue the Commonwealth Games, which is what Glasgow's done. She said the fund to host events was oversubscribed. As it gets closer, she feels excitement will build. She said, we want to make sure people have opportunities to participate, and we will let people know about it as soon as we've got that in place. There are still a few months to go. I think when we start to see some of those names who will actually be participating, that will start to build the excitement, particularly for Team Scotland. Come April, May, people will start to feel the excitement building, and especially when we're able to reveal what's going to be happening during the festival. Scottish election. Among all the work in the city, the Commonwealth Games, and the day-to-day running of Scotland's biggest local authority, there is the matter of a Scottish Parliament election. Throughout her tenure as council leader, there has been an SNP government at Holyrood and 3 SNP First Ministers. Asked about the prospect of potentially having to deal with a change of government, she says the approach will be consistent. Aitken said, I would deal with them in exactly the same way as I've dealt with Labour and Tory Prime Ministers and Secretaries of State, which is I will work with them for Glasgow. I will always be making Glasgow's case. I'll be pushing them, which is exactly the same as I do with the SNP First Minister, just to make that absolutely clear. Regardless of which of the mainstream political parties are in government, I will work with them. That article was written by Stuart Patterson and read to you by Elizabeth.
From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 10th of February 2026, from the Lifestyle section. Elderly man to brave Arctic Adventure Challenge for Sam. And this article was written by Morgan Carmichael. A man is set to take on a gruelling challenge in the heart of the Arctic Circle to make a difference to those struggling with mental health. Andy Gallagher, 55, will battle icy winds and push himself to the limit in Hossa, Finland, where he will brave sub-zero temperatures to raise money for the charity Scottish Action for Mental Health, SAM. From cross-country skiing through vast frozen landscapes and ice swimming to building igloos and spending 3 days in a cabin With no electricity, Andy will tackle the Arctic Adventure Challenge, which will teach him how to survive the Arctic wilderness. The main challenges lie in the cold conditions, which will add to the difficulty of the activities, Andy said. The elderly man continued, I have raised thousands for various charities over the years, usually involving running marathons or ultramarathons. I have run around a dozen ultramarathons. The craziest challenge to date was completing the Highland Fling Ultra on a Saturday, before catching the last flight to London and completing the London Marathon on the Sunday, then being at my desk at 9 a.m. on the Monday morning. I don't like the cold, so this will definitely be a challenge, but when someone suggests something a bit different, I think, why not? And apparently, I thought freezing in the minus 30 degrees Celsius was a good idea. The challenge will run from March the 4th to March the 8th, 2026. On March the 4th, Andy will depart from Glasgow Airport at 7 a.m. to fly to Rovaniemi, Finland. He will land in Rovaniemi at 6:10 p.m. with a 3-hour transfer by road with studded snow tyres to a cabin near Hossa. He will then spend the first night in a hotel, while the other 3 nights will be in the electricity-free cabin. Andy's decision to undergo the tough challenge comes after his father's battle with mental health as well as his own. Andy's late father, Jerry, who sadly passed away in 2014, spent time in Gartnavel Royal Hospital after suffering from depression throughout his life. Andy said Jerry was a keen bowler at the St Vincent Bowling Club in Minerva Street. Andy went on to say that he has had his own experience with depression and stress. He explained, I have suffered from stress and depression related to work as well as family bereavements. So there is a personal element in me wanting to help fund the work SAM does. The SAM was founded in 1923 and works with adults and young people in around 60 to 70 communities across Scotland. The charity provides a wide range of practical services, programmes and resources to support people's mental health and to influence how Scotland responds to mental health issues. Some of the charity services include housing support, community engagement projects which help people connect with local resources, reduce isolation and build confidence, and it also offers online self-help and wellbeing resources. Katrina Wilson, Mass Participation Events Manager at SAM, said, Our Arctic adventure is one of the biggest commitments that a SAM supporter can take on. The challenge involves trekking across snowy Kuusamo in northern eastern Finland through frozen terrain in sub-zero temperatures. Since signing up, Andy has shown tremendous commitment to not just the fundraising aspect, but also the intense training required to prepare for the challenge. Andy's a great character, which will help create a strong team spirit during any difficult moments. I can't wait to see Andy take on this challenge, and I'll be there personally to cheer him and the group along. Andy has already raised over £2,000 of his £3,700 goal for SAM. You can donate by going on to Just Giving, and it's under the Scottish Action for Mental Health. For more information on SAM, you can email the information team via info@sam.org.uk. That's info@samh.org.uk. SAM's opening hours are 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Friday. And that article was written by Morgan Carmichael. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 10th of February 2026, from the lifestyle section. Gordon Ramsay praises Glasgow eatery Ox and Finch at Michelin Awards. Gordon Ramsay has praised the proper cooking gem in Glasgow while attending one of the most prestigious foodie award ceremonies in the world. The celebrity chef highlighted his admiration for Ox and Finch, a popular restaurant on the city's Sauchiehall Street, ahead of the Michelin Guide ceremony for the UK and Ireland 2026. The Michelin Guide is widely regarded as the gold standard in culinary excellence, awarding up to 3 Michelin stars to restaurants that display exceptional quality, creativity and consistency. The event, held in Dublin on Monday, celebrates excellence in fine dining across the UK and Ireland. The Hell's Kitchen star visited the Finnieston spot back in 2022 to try some dishes and later described it as a great dinner. After the surprise visit, the team shared a snap of them smiling with Ramsay, writing, "Thrilled to welcome you to Ox and Finch tonight, Gordon." Before the awards kicked off, Chef Ramsay revealed his love for the West End spot. Speaking to journalists ahead of the ceremony, he said, "Ox and Finch, we had a great time there. And also, we need more restaurants like that, local neighbourhood restaurants. I had such a great dinner there. Just proper cooking with no fuss, no gimmicks, just proper cooking at its absolute best." The popular Glasgow eatery later reshared the video of the TV chef on their Instagram, writing, "Rounding off a wonderful night with a special mention from none other than at Gordon Ram himself." Reminiscing on his visit to Ox and Finch, Chef said, "We need more restaurants like that, local neighbourhood restaurants. I had such a great dinner there. Just proper cooking with no fuss, no gimmicks, just proper cooking at its best. Thank you for your kind words, Chef. You're welcome back any time." The Scottish chef also spoke more broadly about the UK's food scene. He said, "There are phenomenal restaurants across the country," and stressed the need to stay grounded in the realities of running a successful business. Glasgow's Ox and Finch retained its Bib Gourmand for the 12th time yesterday, while sister venues Seb's, Kapow and Margot also hold the Bib distinction, which rewards spots offering high-quality food at good value. In a statement, Scoop Restaurants Group praised its teams, suppliers and loyal guests, and paid special tribute to Scoop Head of Drinks, Ali Shaw, for his award-winning cocktail work at Seb's. The accolades cap a strong first year for the underground Miller Street venue, which was added to the Michelin Guide just 5 months after opening and recently became a new Bib Gourmand recipient. And that article was written by Amy Miles. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 10th of February 2026, from the lifestyle section. Randy Houser announces show at Garage G2 in Glasgow, and this article was written by Morgan Carmichael. A popular country music star is set to perform in Glasgow this August, it has been announced. Randy Houser, famous for songs like How Country Feels, will take to the Garage G2 stage on August the 14th, 2026. The upcoming show follows the release of Houser's new single, Back in the Bottle, which dropped in November 2025. Tickets for the City Centre show will go live at 10 a.m. on February the 13th. Meanwhile, pre-sale tickets can be purchased from February the 12th at 10 a.m. To grab tickets or to sign up for pre-sale, you can go to gigsinscotland.com website. Houser, who hails from Mississippi, rose to fame after releasing his first hit, Honky Tonk Badonkadonk, in 2005, which he co-wrote with Jamie Johnson and Dallas Davidson. After the success of the song, Hauser shifted his focus to performing and started playing at local gigs in Nashville, where he moved in 2002. He has gone on to release 6 studio albums. And that article was by Morgan Carmichael. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 10th of February 2026, from the news section. Aberdeen Investments leads Glasgow's St Vincent Street office revamp, and this article was written by Amy Miles. Refurbishment plans are moving forward for a major office building in the heart of Glasgow. Aberdeen Investments is leading the next phase of its upgrade works at 151 to 155 St Vincent Street, a prominent city centre property. This work follows recent successes, including the letting of space to international law firm Addleshaw Goddard and the completion of an upgraded entrance at 155 St Vincent Street. The latest phase includes a full fit-out of the 10,860 square foot 5th floor suite, with an expected completion date of Easter 2026. Elaine McCann, Deputy Head of Asset Management UK Real Estate at Aberdeen Group, said, Aberdeen is committed to continuous investment in our assets to strengthen sustainability credentials, user experience, and meet the evolving needs of corporate occupiers. Our focus includes delivering high-quality well-being and amenity provision to support modern working practices. The refurbishment will also introduce new basement welfare facilities, improving end-of-journey amenities such as showers and bike storage. The 5th floor will feature an exposed ceiling finish and VRF, variable refrigerant flow air conditioning, offering occupiers flexibility in their final fit-out while supporting sustainability and efficiency. The investment follows a 10-year lease agreement with Addleshaw Goddard, which secured the entire 4th floor at a headline rent of £32.50 per square foot. Tim Jacobson, office agency partner at Ryden and joint letting agent for the property, said occupiers increasingly prioritise location, amenity and specification. Aberdeen's proactive investment at 151 to 155 St Vincent Street positions the property exceptionally well to capture this demand. Addleshaw Goddard chose the building following an extensive market search, highlighting its central location, scale of refurbishment, and the landlord's ability to structure a flexible, competitive leasing package. Joint letting agents for the property are Ryden and CBRE, with Savills advising Addleshaw Goddard during their search. Trident Building Consulting is acting as project manager for the ongoing refurbishment. And this article was written by Amy Miles. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 10th of February 2026, from the news section. Lorraine Kelly's emotional tribute to late dad after simple funeral. And this article was written by Amy Miles. Lorraine Kelly has paid tribute to her late father following his recent funeral. The TV presenter described the day as simple, heartfelt. Her father, 84-year-old John Kelly, died following a fall on an icy footpath in East Kilbride on January the 10th. Lorraine said, "We said goodbye to my dad on Friday. Thanks to everyone who came to celebrate his life. It was a simple, heartfelt service where we remembered his love of astronomy, exploration, science and Star Trek. A tough day full of sadness but also good memories. She also posted an image of her father's funeral order of service on social media, which featured a photograph of him in his younger years. The tribute generated an outpouring of support from friends and colleagues. Fellow presenter Ranveer Singh wrote, "What a legacy, Lorraine." Fashion journalist Mark Hayes said, "Sending so much love to you all." Good Morning Britain weather presenter Laura Tobin commented, "Sending love and lifelong wonderful memories." John, a retired television repairman, is survived by his wife Anne, 85, and son Graham, 57. The Glasgow TV presenter, who now presents her ITV show 4 days a week, had recently reduced her schedule to spend more time with her mother. She lives in Buckinghamshire with her husband, cameraman Steve Smith, whom she married in 1992. Born in Glasgow's Bridgeton area, Lorraine moved with her family to East Kilbride at the age of 13 and attended Claremont High School in St Leonards. Her parents settled in the area more than 50 years ago. Her journalism career began at the East Kilbride News before she joined BBC Scotland in 1983, eventually leading to her long career in national television. And that article was written by Amy Miles. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 10th of February 2026. From the news section. Motherwell knife carrier caught breaking curfew. And this article was written by Mike McQuaid. A Motherwell knife carrier landed a 19-month jail sentence after he was caught breaking a curfew. David White claimed he was on his way back from work 150 miles away in Aberdeen and couldn't get home soon enough. The 37-year-old appeared at Hamilton Sheriff Court and admitted carrying a bladed item without reasonable excuse in Muirhouse Road, Motherwell on April the 11th last year. White of Netherwood Road also admitted breaching a bail curfew by being outside his home that night and failing to attend a court hearing in December. Katie Allen, prosecuting, told the court, "The accused was released on bail in another case on January the 6th last year. Conditions included a 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. curfew. Police were on Muirhouse Road shortly before 10 p.m. on April the 11th. They saw him walking along the road and arrested him for breaching his bail conditions. He was searched and the officers recovered a lockback knife from his jacket pocket. When asked about it, he replied, "I didn't know I had that." Defence agent Roberto Manini said White was at the time on bail for housebreaking charges, which he later admitted. The solicitor stated, "He was unemployed, but on April the 11th he managed to get a shift working for a paving company. Unfortunately, that was in Aberdeen, and I don't know how he thought he could possibly get home in time to comply with his curfew." He says he had this knife with him for work purposes and didn't realise he was still carrying it on the way home. He knows that cannot be used as an excuse. Mr. Manini said White failed to attend court in December as he'd relapsed into drug misuse. The solicitor added, "He is genuinely seeking help with his addiction issues." Jailing White, Sheriff Kevin McCallum told him, "I'm satisfied there is no appropriate alternative to a custodial sentence due to the nature of these offences and your record. You have at least 2 previous convictions for carrying a blade and a history of failing to comply with bail conditions and other court orders." And that article was written by Mike McQuaid. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 10th of February 2026. From the news section. Women hospitalised after struck by car on Glasgow's Grange Road. And this article was written by Amy Miles. A woman has been rushed to hospital after she was struck by a car in Glasgow. Emergency crews were called to Grange Street in the south side after the alarm was raised that a pedestrian had been hit. Police and paramedics attended the scene and the woman was taken to Queen Elizabeth University Hospital for treatment. Her condition remains unknown. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, around 2:45 p.m. on Monday, February the 9th, 2026, police received a report of a woman having been struck by a car in Grange Road, Glasgow. Police and SAS attended and the female pedestrian was taken by ambulance to the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital. And that article was written by Amy Miles.
This is from the Glasgow Times on the 11th of February 2026, from the news section, and the headline reads, Celtic faces fresh legal action over historic Celtic Boys Club abuse. This article is by Aidan Maxwell. Celtic is facing further legal action over allegations of historic abuse at Celtic Boys Club. Digby Brown solicitors said it has raised an action at the Court of Session in Edinburgh on behalf of a survivor. Last year, Celtic FC apologised for historic sexual abuse at Celtic Boys Club following a 7-figure payout in a group legal claim. Richard Pitts, partner at Digby Brown solicitors in Edinburgh, said, Each survivor of abuse should be entitled to take as long as they need to come to terms with what happened and decide what they want to do next. And after nearly 40 years, our client is now ready to take his own step towards justice. I can, therefore, confirm Digby Brown is now investigating allegations of historic abuse connected with Celtic Boys Club. No further details can be disclosed at this time, but we will continue to provide full support as the legal action progresses. Celtic FC has been asked for comment. Thompson solicitors acted for about 30 former Celtic Boys Club players in the group proceeding against Celtic plc, which concluded last year. The case related to abuse at the youth club, which was not formally affiliated with Celtic, by convicted paedophiles James Torbett and Frank Kearney. This article was by Aidan Maxwell. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 11th of February 2026, from the news section, and the headline reads, Cops ready for euphoric World Cup crowds taking over Glasgow streets. This article was by Esther Tarnay. Glasgow's top officer revealed that the force is prepared for World Cup street parties and euphoric crowds as they plan for a unique policing challenge. The city's 2,500 cops are ready to swing into action to ensure the safety of citizens and supporters at various organised and spontaneous events, according to Chief Inspector Emma Croft. The divisional commander for Greater Glasgow explained that the force is looking forward to an exciting year, which includes the men's national team's fixtures, which will kick off as early as 2 a.m. during June. She said, This year there is the great complication of a World Cup. We are in conversations as to what that could look like and how we manage it. How does a city that's in celebration of our national team manage that in terms of late licensing, pop-up venues, fan areas and matches that are through the night? In terms of street parties or people euphoric at the results, we wouldn't know about them in advance. This is a nice challenge for us, of course, but a welcome one. We've all been on this journey with Scotland. Pubs and venues across the city wishing to broadcast the games will have to apply for a licence to do so. The applications are expected in the next few weeks, and Police Scotland is keen to be involved in the discussion. Scotland's match against Morocco also coincides with Transmit, Glasgow's biggest music festival, which will create further difficulties. The Chief Superintendent continued, The beauty of working in partnership across the city is that we map out all those events happening at the same time, and we work out how we manage them. Although the World Cup takes place in North America, and Transmit is in Glasgow, they have a similar fan base. These are lovely things to police, and they're great to be a part of. I know my officers really enjoy these types of events. Throughout the year, there are several big celebrations and events which require a similar volume of policing. The force prepares plans well in advance to deal with club football games, parade season, summer gigs, and all the big holidays, such as St Patrick's Day, Halloween, and Christmas. She explained, "We've still got one of our men's football clubs in Europe, and we have away clubs that come here. They march through or gather in the city centre, and we'll support them to the stadium, given the very large numbers. Parading season has also started already, when a number of our cultural groups look to process through various parts of the city. With the Hydro in Hampden Park welcoming an array of music stars, the police are also kept busy all summer, ensuring the smoothness of concerts." The Chief Superintendent added, "We've got a number of events at our main stadia, such as Take That and Metallica. We'll have artists at Billowston Park as well. These will all have an impact on the city. Along with these annual events, 2026 will bring unique, less frequent occasions, such as the Scottish Parliament elections and the Commonwealth Games." Following the notable days, Police Scotland always evaluate their approach to learn and adapt based on experience. We'll always review as to whether we got that right. We'll look at what happened and what we needed. We'll always look at debriefs and learn to establish the right approach. There are also regular parades, processions, church services, which need a much lower level of response, but people need to know where we are, should they need us. For 2026, the area commander said her goal is to continue to deliver a high level of service. Emma Croft stated, "My absolute want is for us to continue to deliver an effective, well-informed service. However, I need to do that within a very constrained budget, so we are looking at what that looks like across Scotland and what that will mean for Glasgow. We need to make sure that we understand our demand, and we can mitigate some of that, and make sure we've got the best service, and that we can be as visible as possible." This article was by Esther Tarney. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 11th of February 2026, from the news section, and the headline reads, "Dog attack on Burns Road, Cumbernauld, leaves woman injured." This article was by Amy Miles. A woman has been hospitalised after she was attacked by a dog earlier this morning. The incident happened around 6:25 a.m. on Wednesday, February 11th, on Burns Road in the Kildrum area of Cumbernauld. Emergency services raced to the scene, and the Scottish Ambulance Service took her to University Hospital, Monklands, for treatment. Her condition remains unknown. During the incident, we were reporting live as cops warned residents to stay inside as they handled the incident. Police have confirmed that the dog was contained and left in the care of its owner. Police have said that their inquiries are ongoing. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, "Around 6:25 a.m. on Wednesday, February 11th, 2026, we received a report of a person having been attacked by a dog on Burns Road, Kildrum, Cumbernauld. Emergency services attended and the woman was treated at the scene. The dog was contained and left in the care of its owner. Inquiries are ongoing to establish the full circumstances." The Scottish Ambulance Service said, "We received a call at 6:27 a.m. to attend an incident on Burns Road, Cumbernauld. We dispatched an ambulance to the scene and transported one patient to University Hospital, Monklands." This article was by Amy Miles. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 11th of February 2026, from the news section, and the headline reads, "Glasgow snow to fall this week, according to Met Office weather warning." This article was by Amy Miles. Residents are being urged to expect delays and take precautions as Glasgow is placed under a new yellow weather warning. The Met Office has issued a snow and ice warning covering Strathclyde. The warning includes the potential for hazardous travel, slippery pavements and public transport delays, with wintry showers expected to lead to icy patches and light snowfall. A Met Office spokesperson said, "Snowy, wintry weather can cause delays and make driving conditions dangerous. Keep yourself and others safe by planning your route, giving yourself extra time for your journey. Check for road closures or delays to public transport and amend plans if necessary. If driving, make sure to have some essentials in your car in the event of any delays, e.g. warm clothes, food, water, a blanket, a torch, ice scraper /de-icer, a warning triangle, high visibility vest and an in-car phone charger. The forecast warns that snow showers, primarily on higher ground, are expected to start to fall to low levels throughout Thursday evening and overnight. Accumulations of 1 to 2 centimetres are possible on low ground, while areas above 300 metres could see 2 to 5 centimetres and up to 10 centimetres in some locations. In addition to the snow, temperatures will fall quickly, and this is likely to lead to ice on untreated surfaces. Residents are being urged to take extra care on the roads and allow more time for their journeys. The Met Office also advised leaving the house at least 5 minutes earlier than usual to reduce the risk of slips, falls or accidents. People are encouraged to use pavements along main roads, as these are less likely to be icy, and cyclists are advised to use main roads where possible. The yellow warning covers the following council areas: Argyll and Bute, East Ayrshire, East Dunbartonshire, East Renfrewshire, Glasgow, Inverclyde, North Ayrshire, North Lanarkshire, Renfrewshire, South Ayrshire, South Lanarkshire and West Dunbartonshire. The Met Office forecast for Glasgow stated that Thursday would be cloudy with rain, sleet and hill snow, clearing to the south through the morning to leave a largely dry afternoon with bright or sunny spells developing. Maximum temperatures are expected to reach 5 degrees Celsius. The outlook for Friday through Sunday suggests a few coastal showers on Friday, but otherwise dry with sunny spells. Saturday is forecast to remain dry with morning sunshine, becoming cloudier later in the day. Sunday is expected to be cloudy, with rain and hill snow moving east. This article was by Amy Miles. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 11th of February 2026 from the news section, and the headline reads: Scottish Brain Tumour Research Centre marks first anniversary. This article was by Beth Oliver. A pioneering cancer research centre has recently marked its first anniversary. The Scottish Brain Tumour Research Centre of Excellence, which brings together researchers based at the Universities of Glasgow and Edinburgh, focuses on developing new treatments for glioblastoma, an aggressive and incurable form of brain cancer. Launched 1 year ago through a partnership between Brain Tumour Research and the Beatson Cancer Charity, the centre is working to translate laboratory breakthroughs into clinical treatments through new models of glioblastoma and early-stage therapy development. Over the past year, the centre has developed improved laboratory models to better understand glioblastoma and test potential therapies, including gene therapy, with the long-term aim of translating these findings into patient trials. Professor Stephen Pollard, co-director of the centre, said, "Our priority now is to strengthen the connection between scientific discovery and clinical trials, so that promising new ideas can be developed into treatments that are ready to be tested in patients. We know the clinical teams in Edinburgh and Glasgow are ready to evaluate new therapies, and our focus is on building the expertise and infrastructure needed to move new approaches, including innovative medicines and gene therapy, through to that stage more effectively. By doing this, we hope not only to progress our own research, but also to work more closely with industry and other partners to increase the number of treatment options available to people affected by brain tumours." The centre's work has been welcomed by families directly affected by brain cancer, including Shetland Islands MSP Beatrice Wishart, whose daughter Louise Fraser was diagnosed with a brain tumour in 2012. Wishart, who is also a convener of the cross-party group in the Scottish Parliament on brain tumours, said, "It's been a very quick year, and I'm really pleased to see the progress that has already been made in understanding and tackling brain tumours. There is a clear emphasis on the importance of sustainable funding and the difference it can make for people across Scotland. Through the cross-party group, we've been pressing the Health Secretary on access to research trials and new treatments, and it's been a very positive and proactive group to be a part of. I see that work as complementary to everything being done at the Scottish Centre of Excellence, and together it gives real momentum to efforts to improve outcomes for patients and families." Louise Fraser and her family have raised more than £36,500 for brain tumour research in memory of her late husband Chris, who died from a brain hemorrhage in September 2024. Fraser said, "It was a very emotional day, particularly as the fundraising has been carried out in memory of my husband Chris, who was very much at the forefront of my mind. I wanted to do something positive with our children following his death, and fundraising for this charity felt like the right way to honour him, while supporting a cause that means so much to our family. It's reassuring to see where the money we've raised is going, and how brain tumour research is using those funds to support the search for kinder, more effective treatments. Dan Knowles, Chief Executive of Brain Tumour Research, said, "Marking the first anniversary of Scotland's first Centre of Excellence dedicated to brain tumours is a powerful reminder of what can be achieved when patients, families, researchers and supporters come together with a shared determination to drive change. This centre represents exactly what our supporters' fundraising makes possible: world-class work with a clear focus on improving outcomes for patients. By helping bridge the gap between scientific discovery and real patient benefit, the Scottish Centre plays a vital role within our growing national network. Progress against brain tumours will not happen overnight, but sustained investment in centres like this brings us closer to our ultimate goal of better treatments, improved survival, and one day a cure. Brain tumours are the leading cause of cancer death among children and adults under 40, yet receive just 1% of national cancer research funding since records began in 2002. In Scotland, more than 1,000 people are diagnosed with a brain tumour each year, including 433 with high-grade forms of the disease. Brain tumour research is campaigning for £35 million of annual UK investment to improve survival rates and bring outcomes in line with more commonly funded cancers. The Scottish Brain Tumour Research Centre aims to bridge the gap between laboratory discoveries and real-world patient benefit, giving families across the country renewed hope through ongoing collaboration and innovation. Gillian Hailstones, Chief Executive of Beatson Cancer Charity, said, "The first anniversary of the Scottish Brain Tumour Research Centre of Excellence marks an important step forward for patients and families affected by brain tumours. Over the past year, this partnership has helped build strong foundations for collaborative research in Scotland, with a clear focus on improving understanding of glioblastoma and developing more effective treatment options. We are proud to support a centre that is bringing researchers and clinicians together with the shared aim of making progress that truly matters to patients." This article was by Beth Oliver.
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at View and Review and to tell your friends about our service.